Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you've ever stared at a disability compensation claim and just felt completely baffled by the final numbers, you are definitely not alone. Today we're diving deep into the step-by-step process of calculating your combined disability rating using the official VA Combined Ratings Table that's outlined in Title 38 Code of Federal Regulations, Part 4.25. We're going to decode the logic, crunch the math, and finally make sense of this whole shebang.
I want to start off by asking the question that causes, honestly, just immense frustration when reviewing disability claims. It's a question that stops a lot of people dead in their tracks. Why doesn't a 60% rating plus a 30% rating just equal 90%, right? In everyday life, that arithmetic is as simple as it gets. But in the world of disability ratings, basic addition literally goes right out the window. By the end of this explainer, not only will you know exactly why that is, but you'll be able to calculate the real answer yourself.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll be covering 1. The VA math mystery, 2. The remaining efficiency concept, 3. Ordering by severity first, 4. The combination calculation steps, and finally, 5. The final rounding rule.
All right, let's jump straight into Section 1. The VA math mystery, when 1 plus 1 doesn't equal 2.
Okay, first things first. We need to completely clear our minds of everything we learned in grade school math class. Under standard arithmetic, adding these percentages is a total breeze. 60 plus 30 is 90. Bam, done. But 38 CFR 4.25 dictates a completely different baseline formula for combined ratings. You see, the schedule is designed as a guide to evaluate the average impairment in earning capacity. Because of that, it doesn't just stack conditions on top of one another like building blocks. Instead, it uses a specific formula to measure how multiple conditions overlap and affect you as a single, whole person.
Which brings us to Section 2, the remaining efficiency concept, or as some call it, the whole person paradigm.
To really grasp why the system operates this way, we have to look at how the code actually views your body. The core regulation dictates that you literally can't be more than 100% disabled, right? It's logically impossible to be 110% or 150% disabled under this framework. So the formula calculates how efficient you remain after each individual disability is factored in. It considers the efficiency of the individual as affected first by the most disabling condition and then by any subsequent less disabling conditions.
This visual really hits the nail on the head. According to the rules, if you start out as a 100% efficient person and you have a 60% disability, well, you are now considered to have 40% efficiency remaining. That 40%, that's your brand new baseline. Any subsequent disability isn't going to be subtracted from a full 100% anymore. It's only going to be subtracted from that 40% efficiency you have left over.
So, how do we line these up? Let's look at Section 3, ordering by severity first.
You can't just pick and choose which disability to calculate first. The strict legal rule requires you to arrange your disabilities in the exact order of their severity, starting with the highest percentage first, before doing any math whatsoever. Say you have a 20%, a 60%, and a 10% rating. You absolutely must arrange them as 60, then 20, then 10. You always evaluate the most disabling condition first to establish your initial drop in efficiency, and then you apply the lesser conditions to whatever efficiency remains.
Okay, moving right along to Section 4, the combination calculation steps. Time to actually do the math.
Now that our conditions are ordered from highest to lowest and we understand we're taking percentages of our remaining efficiency, let's run the numbers on our 60 and 30% example. On the official combined ratings table, you'd find the degree of one disability in the left column, the other in the top row, and find where they intersect. But let's peek under the hood at the specific formula happening behind that table. Proceeding from your 40% remaining efficiency, which, remember, you have after that first 60% disability, a further 30% disability removes 30% of that remaining 40%. Well, 30% of 40 is 12. That 12% is subtracted from your 40% efficiency, leaving you with exactly 28% efficiency altogether.
So, here is the crucial takeaway. Subtracting that 28% remaining efficiency from your original 100% whole person leaves you exactly 72% disabled. Yep, 60 plus 30 under this legal framework equals exactly 72.
Visualizing this calculation makes it so much clearer. See, the initial 60% chunk is taken out first. Then the second disability of 30% only takes a chunk out of the lighter shaded area, the efficiency you had left. It takes a 12% chunk of the whole pie. So you're left with just a 28% sliver of remaining efficiency. Those dark portions combined, That represents your exact combined value, 72%.
Almost done, but not quite. Let's hit Section 5, the final rounding rule. We aren't completely finished because, well, 72% is an exact value, but it is not an official compensation rating tier. You can't actually be paid at a 72% rate, which leads us to the final absolute critical step, the rounding rule. According to 38 CFR 4.25, the combined value must be converted to the nearest number divisible by 10, and here is a super important detail. Combined values ending in exactly 5 will always be adjusted upward. Furthermore, this conversion to the nearest degree divisible by 10 is done only once per rating decision. It is the very, very last procedure.
So, jumping back to our example, our 72% combined value has to be converted to the nearest 10. Since 72 is closer to 70 than it is to 80, it converts down. So 70% represents your final official degree of disability.
Conversely, let's look at another example provided in the code. Let's say you combine a 50% and a 30% disability. The 50 leaves you 50% efficient. 30% of that remaining 50 is 15. 50 plus 15 gives you an exact combined value of 65. Now, because the rule dictates adjusting final fives upward, that exact 65 value also converts to a 70% final degree of disability.
I really want to emphasize this next point because it's a common trap. You might think you round as you go. Actually, scratch that. You never, ever round in the middle of the math. If you have 3 or more disabilities, you must keep combining the exact values one by one on the table. If your first 2 conditions combine to 76, do not round that up to 80 before adding your third condition. You combine the exact 76 with your next rating. You only apply this rounding rule as the absolute final procedure, once every single disability has been factored in.
By following these exact steps, ordering from most to least severe, calculating a remaining efficiency, and applying the rounding rule only at the very end, you completely remove the mystery from the math. Now that you possess the official tools and logic of 38 CFR 4.25, are you ready to list your own ratings by severity and uncover the real math behind your combined rating? Take a look at your own numbers, apply the whole person paradigm, and see how your remaining efficiency calculates out. Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.